Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of God Bless the Keg Publishing LLC's podcast. And I am John Hausleben of God Bless the Keg Publishing LLC. I am your podcast host, flagship author, chief photographer, chief cook, bottle washer, music reviewer, and do everything guy at God Bless the Keg Publishing with a little help from my friends. And we're thrilled that you're here to tune in on the podcast. Thank you. And welcome. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome back to other listeners who've tuned in previously. And before we get started, I would like to get the little Orphan Annie decoder pins out and mention a word from our sponsor here. And this podcast is proudly sponsored by Corporate Facilities Group Incorporated, the leader in technical consulting, facility management, maintenance, property services, repairs, and operations throughout America. Check them out at www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. That is www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. Check out the scope of services, and if you own property, you have facilities, your one-stop shop is CFG Incorporated for all your facility and property needs. So thank you to Steve and Lydia at CFG Incorporated for sponsoring the podcast, and check them out on the web, www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. And thank you. Yes, just spoke to Steve and Lydia last Friday. Wonderful people. We love them to death, and thanks again. So here we are, and it has been some kind of 2 weeks. I just hung up a few seconds ago from speaking to the world-famous Callie Rose of God Bless the Keg Publishing LLC. And if you have been following the podcast, or if you check out the website for the podcast, you see that Callie is a co-host, and we've been saying she's got to come on. And Callie wants to talk about Detective Odell. And we have a new novel coming out. It's actually the final novel in the series. I think it's book number 5 in the series of Odell cases. Homicide Detective Lyle Odell, the hard-boiled New York hard-drinking, chain-smoking detective. A little Sherlock Holmes, a little Columbo, a little Philip Marlowe, all wrapped into one guy. And Callie loves Detective Odell. She's done a lot of the beta reads and edits, and Callie does a lot of things for God Bless the Keg Publishing. Writes a little pieces, edits. She's been a fashion model, great photographer, trained with me, and she's much better than I am now. And she's just a great gal, and we love Callie to death. And she was scheduled to come on and expecting her first child. So we thought we had about 4 weeks, but babies do what babies do in this world. And a little baby Sky, a little girl, decided, hey, you know what? It's time for me to make this major appearance in this world. And here I am. And it was a little chaotic and a little tumultuous. And thank God for the blessings of the arrival of a healthy baby Sky, and Mama's doing well. And we thank all the doctors and nurses for their hard work and their amazing wisdom and talents. And we're just very blessed that baby Sky and Callie are doing great. So congratulations to them and the family and Callie's partner. It's just a wonderful time. And we'll get Callie on here one of these days, I promise. So yay for baby Sky, and yay for Callie too. So yes, Snow on the Roof is the name of the novel. It will be released, I think, the 15th of August. We're working on the final things right now, so it's all good. And we introduced Odell as a minor character in the novel O'Malley, and a lot of Irish people in that book. So Odell helps O'Malley unravel his past in this drama and such. So O'Malley being a hockey player, a professional hockey player who has a how shall I say, kind of a hard edge. He's pretty mean. And the book displays what brought him to that point and why he's on a mission to win every hockey game and stomp the life out of anybody who gets in his way. So Odell was introduced there, and became a minor character who readers loved. So we spun him off, and he ended up with his own series. This final book backs him into where we started with Odell. But so this week, fill it in with Callie and all the things that happened. We had to scramble a little bit. We brought on a wonderful young lady. Shout out to Amber Volk, who pinch hit for Callie, and we love Amber. She did a great job, and she's a member of the team now. And congratulations to Amber for helping out this crazy old man and doing such a great job. Thank you. Thank you. And we did cobble everything together, and it was a success. Despite of all the obstacles that came our way, I felt it was like that old video game, Paperboy, where the kid's trying to deliver the papers and everything known to mankind happens to him comes in his way. That's how it was, and there was a lot of stops and starts. But the major thing that hit, other than babies and new folks and trying to do things without all the proper files and background, was this awful heat wave hit here in Central Virginia. And I mean, my goodness gracious, it started last weekend previous. I'm recording this on a Sunday. It started the previous weekend, and you could feel it building and building and building. And by Monday, it was pretty gruesome. By Tuesday, it was a full-blown heat wave. I think it went basically from Florida all the way to Maine on the East Coast. This, what do they call it? Dome of heat and humidity. And talking to my folks back in Connecticut and South Jersey, they were moaning and groaning too. But I think I saw it was over 100 in Maine, in like Bangor and Portland. So just one of those heat waves that hit. And that made me think of a heat wave adventure. And yes, Central Virginia, we're in the Richmond area. It's no joke here. Summers here are no joke. And for a guy who's lived all over, I remember when I first got to Atlanta, a company sent me down there for about 6 months, which ended up being almost 4 years that I lived in Atlanta. And I loved it there. It was great. And people warned me, oh my gosh, Paulie, coming from New Jersey, this is hot Atlanta. You got to be ready for the summers. And it does get hot there. No question, it gets humid too. But Atlanta has some elevation. It's about 1,000 feet above sea level. So by the time the sun goes down, it cools down a little bit. You might even get a little breeze and everything. And I would say to folks, yeah, it's hot here, but let me tell you, until you go through summers in Richmond, Virginia, in the mid-Atlantic, that's something different. And basically from Philadelphia, even South Jersey, we're in Hamilton. You come down Delaware, you hit Baltimore, Port Baltimore in the summer. I did a couple jobs there. Oh my gosh, Baltimore is hot and sticky and muggy. Of course, Washington, D.C. is legendary for humidity, and it doesn't get any better. Maybe a little bit in Northern Virginia, but then you get to the James River Valley, and whoosh, we're at sea level, and the humidity and the mosquitoes just have a picnic here. So that's the kind of heat that hit, and Amber and I were doing the best we could, and air conditioning calls are coming in. And I mean, there's only so much an air conditioner can do. If it's 102 out and you're getting 79 in your space, 80 degrees, it's not a refrigerator. It can only lower the temperature so much. So it invoked a lot of memories for me. And Amber and I worked hard. And before I forget, I want to do a little shout out, because customer service and good service should be rewarded in this day and age, because it's kind of a rare thing to find. And one of my favorite haunts here is a restaurant. It's called a Gastro Pub, and they're not a sponsor of the podcast, but we got to get them on board here. The Toast over at the Village Shopping Center in Richmond, Virginia. One of the great places. And let me tell you, Paulie is eating all over the place. And I love the Toast. And Amber and I, in the middle of struggling to get our work done, we realized it was like 3:30. We hadn't eaten a thing. So we booked on over through the heat over to the Toast and had lunch. And server, Adia Q. Adia was our server, and she was wonderful. Running around there in the heat in the back of the house or the kitchen, that's hard work, and God bless her. And she did a wonderful job, and my Manhattans were perfect, and we had a great lunch. So a shout out to Adia Q. Despite the heat wave and despite all the things happening, she gave wonderful customer service, great server. So at the 10-minute, 22-second mark of this podcast, Adia, if you happen to tune in, send us a email to godblessthekegpublishing@gmail.com and mention that 10-minute mark and that I gave you a shout out. And we'll say, give me your mailing address and we'll send you some free stuff, maybe a book, maybe a God Bless the Keg publishing hat or a button or something, because a shout out should be rewarded. But yeah, so we struggled through, and I think Tuesday hit 102, and then Wednesday was about 101. But like my old man used to say, once it gets over 95, what does it matter? That's very true. And people don't realize how hot it gets in New Jersey, and it really, truly does. Might not have the sultry humidity constantly like Central Virginia has, and maybe the Gulf Coast and South Florida, that kind of stuff. But let me tell you, the city of Paterson, hot. And our apartment, our first apartment, my first memories growing up in Paterson were on Wayne Avenue in Paterson, New Jersey. And it was like a walk-up apartment. I think we were on floor 5, 5th floor. And it had a flat black asphalt roof above us, and the front windows faced the city street, and you got buses and trucks and cars going back and forth, and we had a firehouse, city firehouse, right across the street, and the heat of the city would come in the windows. There's no air conditioning here. There's no air conditioning. The old man would set up 176 fans everywhere, strategically trying to get some air through the place. And it was hot. And my mother used to wake us up during these heat waves, my sister and I, and put our bathing suits on and make us sleep in the bathtub. My sister would sleep in there for about 3 hours, and then my mom would plump me in there and chuck me in the water in my bathing suit, and we'd try to sleep in the bathtub. The old man conceded defeat. He just went out on the back porch with a hammock and slept on the back porch. We had the stairs that went up the whole back of the apartment with a little porch. So he strung his hammock there, and that's where the old man would sleep. So, and then we moved over to Borough Haledon on Belmont Avenue there, in the old house, and we still had no air conditioning there. But that's just the way it goes, and the city, the pavement, the asphalt, the old buildings absorb this heat, and it just comes in and bounces off and hits you. So while northern New Jersey might not have the humid moments, let me tell you, New York City, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Hartford, Paterson, Newark, Jersey City, Philly, those are some hot times. But I remember this one summer heat wave that hit, and the old man, I was 9, 10 years old, I don't know. And the old man didn't get much vacation. His primary vacation was around Christmas time. And he was a machinist, manufacturing. And this is a time in the day and age when we actually made things in this country. Lots of things. And the old man made aircraft parts. Parts for NASA, for the Apollo landers, and all kinds of gyros. Mostly he machined precision gyros. And they would close, as a lot of manufacturing plants did, not just machine shops. It could be fabric. It could be any kind of widget that they were manufacturing. They would close during the Christmas season because a lot of unions and truckers would have off, and the CBAs would give them time off during the holidays. So that a lot of manufacturing plants in that area would shut down. Christmas Eve was usually the shutdown, and then they would stay closed till after New Year's. And that gave the poor maintenance guys never get off. And they would maintain the machines and do all the PMs, and the facility maintenance guys would change light bulbs and do all the things they do, paint floors, housekeeping with deep clean. So those opportunities when the machines were not running and you didn't interrupt production, the production guys would get off. So great memories of my dad during holiday time, Christmas time, because he really looked forward to that. And that was the primary vacation. It was mandatory. He had to take off. So he would get a couple other days during the year, and he might take off, my mom's birthday or something like that. But very few other days he got. And summer vacation, he would try to take off a few days here and there. And we didn't have money. We weren't going to go to the Bahamas for a week. So these were day trips. And I can remember one of the day trips because we didn't have air conditioning. Air conditioning was a treat. Even the city buses in Paterson didn't have air conditioning. And we would go to the Willowbrook Mall up in Wayne when they first built it and walk around inside the big stores, as the old man called it. And it was a treat because it was air conditioned. So that was a day trip for us. And my father would take me to Yankee Stadium once a year. We'd go over to the Bronx, and that was an adventure. And we'd catch a ball game. And I got great memories of that, too. And then we'd do one trip to the Jersey Shore. And that's what in this heat wave invoked a great adventure of the Jersey Shore. Now, I've mentioned our family car, the 1964 Rambler Classic Model 660, which we fixed in our driveway almost every weekend from about my earliest memories of being a tool fetcher till I was about 18 years old. Every weekend there was something wrong with the car. So the old man was a great backyard mechanic. So with an unreliable set of wheels, getting to the Bronx was an adventure. But getting to the Jersey Shore was even more of an adventure because you had to face the nemesis known as the Garden State Parkway and the notorious traffic jams on the Garden State Parkway. And here you go. You got an unreliable vehicle that would overheat in Alaska when it's 30 degrees below zero. And we're going to venture out to the Jersey Shore on a weekday. Weekends, forget about it. The old man would never try it because, as they call it back home, the shore traffic is building. That's the kiss of death. That means from about Asbury Park to just about Paterson is solid wall-to-wall traffic. So with the as I called it, the putter, because top speed on the Rambler was about 50, maybe 55 if it had a tailwind. So it just kind of putted along. It had a tendency to overheat. So you had to keep moving. Traffic was, if it came to a standstill and you didn't have air moving across that radiator and that cooling system, chances are you're doomed. But the old man was prepared for this stuff. So here comes a couple days off and the heat wave hits. And if I remember it right, it was like the middle of July, maybe after the 4th of July. So it's getting to that point where the summer's going to have some revenge. And the old man just proudly announces that we're going to go to the shore tomorrow. And my mother immediately pushed back, knowing the history of the family vehicle. She said, Paul, it's going to be 100 degrees. It's a terrible heat wave. Yeah, perfect day to go to the beach. So even at my young age, knowing the history and the mechanics of our family car, I was like, this could be bad. My sister loved the beach, so she was all excited, and my mother was apprehensive. But the old man prepared for this. This is like going to the moon. This is an excursion to the moon. And the Zipparelli family, I mentioned the Zipparelli family, and Italian, New Jersey Italian, and they would give us these jugs, these glass wine jugs. I can see them, these big bottles. Red wine, white wine. They would make them for the holidays and give them as gifts. And they made them in they made the wine in their basement in a plastic swimming pool. And they'd give these out as gifts. They were the happy-go-lucky, wonderful family. And the wine was pretty strong. And only my mother drank the wine, but it was even too strong for her. So the old man would use it as drain cleaner to keep the drains going. And he would keep the jugs, once he emptied them of the wine, and he filled them with water. And he put a little bit of antifreeze in there. So in the back trunk of the putter, the Rambler, there were about 6 jugs of water/coolant mixtures. And he had spare hoses for the coolant system. He had duct tape. He had rubber tape. He had all his tools, spare belt for the fan. The old man anticipated the breakdown on the side of the road, and he'd be able to do, emergency repairs. That's just the way it was. So he announces that we're going to go to, as he called it, Brady Beach on the Jersey Shore. It was not Brady Beach. It's Bradley Beach. But the old man was under the chronic mispronunciation gang, and as a lot of New Jersey guys are, and he just would adapt the word to something was easy to say, and Bradley was too long, so it just became Brady Beach. And he loved Bradley Beach because it was one of the first decent, clean shore areas as you come down from Paterson down the Parkway, just past Sandy Hook, and you get to Asbury, and I think it's just south of Neptune, old city on the Jersey Shore. And there's 3 resorts kind of clamped right in a row. Avon by the Sea, Bradley/Brady Beach, and then Ocean Grove. The old man's never going to Ocean Grove because it's a religious resort, or it was back then, and it's a dry town. So on his vacation, there's no way the old man's not having a cold beer when he gets to the town. So Bradley Beach it was. And we set out early in the morning. Strategically, the old man waits till a little of the Newark traffic dies down. And we tool out. Load up the putter with the beach umbrellas, the towels, the suntan lotion, the old man's cooler beer, picnic lunch, all the stuff. And we make our way down the Garden State Parkway. First, we get to Route 46, and we get off at Route 3, right by where the old WPAT radio transmitters used to be. Got to tell you a great story about that, too. One of my radio podcasts. And we get on the Parkway, and we're kind of sailing along. Now, the putter did have air conditioning. It's called roll down your windows and get to about 50 miles an hour. And you might get this warm, horrible, hot air that comes across your body. And you're leaning your head out the window, trying to gasp for some cool air, some kind of breeze. My mother would say, get your head back in the car. You're going to lose your head. I read it in the newspaper that somebody got their head cut off. Their arm taken off when they leaned out the window. I was like, oh, my goodness. So we make our way down the Parkway, and we're heading for the shore. Brady Beach, the lost city of El Dorado. But first we have to contend with 2,655,776 cars on the Garden State Parkway. And the Parkway is legendary for their toll booths. These are temporary toll booths. Then they put them up to fund the construction of the Parkway. And of course, they never removed the toll booths. And back in these old days, the toll booths were obstacles. This isn't where you got the easy pass and the electronic gizmo and you don't break your speed, you just go through. No, these are the old-fashioned things where you have to throw the quarter in the basket. And as you come down, you have various obstacles. The Essex toll, the notorious Union toll, which is where most of the problem always occurred. And we're sailing down, trying to maintain speed so that the putter doesn't overheat. And the old man's eyeballs are glued on the temperature gauge. And it's bouncing up and down, bouncing up and down, bouncing up and down, flirting with overheat. Then he would move a little bit in the traffic. He'd find a lane to get going again. And the air would go across the putter and he'd get the temperature down. But then you got to deal with what's called the merge. And the merge in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut is a strategy. It's a very, very specific type of strategy. And you have to be aware of what's about to happen. You have, I don't know, 5, 6 lanes in Newark on the Parkway, and then you're suddenly scrunching down, as the warning says, Essex Toll a mile ahead. And here you have to go. And there should be 6, 7, 8 lanes of the toll booths open, but most of the time they're all closed for maintenance. And they have the red light lit up and the X. And you got to look for the green light, which is really only maybe 1 or 2 tolls. So here you have all these cars propelled by humanity, and you got to squeeze down into these 2 lanes and get through the toll booth without overheating. So the merge, the strategy of the merge is, the old man would explain. He said, what I'm going to do is look for somebody with a fancy car, preferably a sports car driven by some young guy, and you target him. And you come at him like a missile with your putter, your 1964 wreck of a vehicle. And he looks over and sees the duct tape holding the fenders on, and he sees the bald tires, and he sees the 900 shades of blue and the body work done on the vehicle over the years. And he's like, no, you go first, pal. And that's how you get a lane to get an advantage in through the toll booth, you see. Now, the only problem occurs when you meet up with somebody who's targeting the same toll booth you are, and his car is worse than yours. Instead of duct tape, this guy doesn't even have a fender on his vehicle. And he's like, okay, buddy boy, cat and mouse, you go first. I'm going to smash right into you. I don't care. I don't even have a fender on my car. I'm getting through this toll booth. So there is a strategy, and God forbid you miss the quarter into the basket. And then you got to blow your horn and wait for an attendant to come and rescue your quarter. Because the old man, he ain't spending a quarter more. He ain't taking another quarter and throwing it in the basket. It's costing him enough money and enough pain to make this trip to Brady Beach. So it's really bad when you cause a jam up. Your car overheats, or you throw the quarter and you miss. And the old television reporter, the guy in the helicopter, is talking about a blockage at the Essex Toll. And there's an old wreck of a vehicle stuck in the Essex Toll here. And the backup is 72 miles long to the GW Bridge. It's a blue, sort of blue, many colors of blue. And he's talking about the old man's car. You never want to be the subject of the traffic report. So we make it through the Essex Toll, and we did overheat. So the old man glided over, and after the toll booth, there's a big area to service your vehicle. He added the water, and we got the putter happy again. And once you get past Union and you start to get to Sandy Hook, things start lightening up on the commuter traffic, and now we're sailing along pretty good. But there's always another obstacle. The putter's happy, the temperature gauge is happy, we're gasping for air, we got a breeze going through the car. But there's always another obstacle. And even though I was a little kid, I was pretty savvy, and I would keep reminding the old man, now don't forget, Dad, when you get to the exit for, I had to talk the talk, you see, you got to talk the Jersey thing. That when you get to the exit for Brady Beach, don't forget, it's got the 3 little roads off the exit. So you got, let's say it's exit 171A, 171 Bravo, 171 Charlie. You got ABC. So you got Avon by the Sea, Brady Beach, you got Ocean Grove. And when you get off the Parkway, you got to be really smart, because they all come, and you got to be aware. Take the right road for Brady Beach. And the old man get mad at me. I know what I'm doing. I've gone to Brady Beach 100 times. And of course, when the exit finally comes up, the old man sails through the exit and takes the wrong one. And we have to painfully remind him that he's on the road to Ocean Grove. So turn around, go through the toll, pay it again. The old man's just mad as a pistol at this point. And then we get on the road to Brady Beach, and we finally make it. You can almost smell the salt water in the air. We've made it to the lost city of El Dorado. After the merge, after the heat, after the overheating, the traffic report, all the things that have happened, the missed exit, we finally make it to the Holy Land. And you could park at a municipal parking lot very close to the boardwalk next to the beach, but that isn't happening. Not with the old man, because you got to pay a lot of money for that. We ain't parking there. There's nothing wrong with parking on the street. It's only 2 blocks we can walk. So that's what we do. And we pick up our beach umbrellas and our towels and the old man's cooler and the picnic basket, and we all take a piece of this puzzle and schlep our way over through the 100-degree heat to the boardwalk. And when we rounded the corner and the ocean was in front of us, there it was, the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. And we could smell the salt, and it was a little bit of a breeze, and it got a little cooler. And there's the boardwalk in front of us, and the excitement is building. And I stop and I look, and there's only a handful of people on the beach. And we notice there's nobody in the parking lot. A couple cars. Yeah, it's maybe a Wednesday, so it's not a huge beach day. But it is the summer, and other people have vacation. And there's a couple people standing in the sand, but nobody's in the water. There's not even a lifeguard sitting on the thing. They're standing over on the side talking to pretty girls. They're not even watching the water. Then I turn to my sister, and Dottie says, there's nobody in the water. I said, yeah, what's going on? And the old man's looking, and my mother's scratching her head, and we pick up our stuff and we get closer. And on the boardwalk at the little entrance and exit stairs to get down to the sand, there's a security guard. There's a guy sitting there on a stool, and he's got a beach umbrella over him, usually an old retired guy, and it's the Brady Beach Patrol. And this old guy sitting there, and he looks at us, and we look at him, and we look at the sign in front of the guy sitting next to him. And he just points at the sign. The old man reads it out loud. Swim at your own risk. Jellyfish invasion. And the old man's like, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. And the old guy's like, no, I ain't kidding, man. It's 100 degrees. These things happen along the Jersey Shore. They come up when the water gets warm. And he said, you can go in the water if you want. I won't even charge you $1 to get on the beach, but swim at your own risk. And that's it, man. The old man loses it. I think some of those obscenities are still somewhere in Brady Beach, hanging over the sand somewhere. When it rains, they come down out of the air. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but it wasn't, you got to be kidding me. It was something else, a variation on a theme. So after all that, 100 degrees and all the obstacles, and we make it to the Jersey Shore for our one shore adventure, jellyfish. So the old man gave it up. He just put this cooler down, sat next to the old guy. They talked about baseball, drank a few beers. The guy didn't charge us to go on the beach. Mom, Donnie, and I, we take our sneakers off and everything. We stand in the sand for about 15 minutes, and it's gruesomely hot, and we turn around and come back. And now, of course, we have to fight our way back up the Garden State Parkway, back to Paterson. So, as I recall, the putter only overheated twice on the way back. We made it. So, when the heat wave hit, it invoked a lot of memories. Jackhammering air conditioners through walls when I was a kid, covered in sweat, and my first jobs, splicing cables in a manhole. It's 100 degrees. They're lowering the lemonade and water and burgers down to us in a string, covered in sweat. And then I thought of the famous adventure, the famous jellyfish incident at Brady Beach. And if I recall correctly, we did go to the beach a couple more times as we grew up, but the old man would wait. He'd wait till almost Labor Day to take those couple days off, because the Yankees were usually out of the pennant race by then anyway, and the tickets were cheaper. And the jellyfish didn't come up so much in the later part of the summer. He wasn't going to risk it anymore. So that I bet you have your own heat wave memories. And those are mine, and I hope you enjoy me sharing them with you. And thanks for tuning in. As I said, you can email us at godblessthekegpublishing@gmail.com. And I'd love to hear your own Heatwave memory stories and your summer stories. And hey, I'm ready for it. I'm ready. Next week's the 4th of July. We're going to have a special 4th of July story, a legendary story of the old man, and some fireworks that went astray. And we'll do a special holiday episode. I love the 4th of July, and it's going to get hot, and I'm ready for it. Bring it on. Paulie can handle it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it through the summer. So thanks for tuning in. Send me your comments. You could say this guy's crazy and I didn't enjoy that. It's a horrible podcast. Or you could say it was fun, whatever. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm just a guy from Paterson, New Jersey. So, hey, be kind, be tolerant, be gentle. Kindness is for free. Share a little kindness. It'll only make the world better. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.